Yeah, yeah. I know that things are tough, but we will make it out. Dominica, we all gonna make it one day. The pressures of the system make us lose around. Oh yeah, we all gonna make it one day. Yeah, listen now. There's something that I wanna say to you. You get me so angry. Yeah, man, this is Emma Moses, you know, and you're watching Sat News, the People's Choice. Yeah, make it bless, make it bless, make it bless. Love.
Welcome to SAT TV's news. I am Shanna Esprit, your presenter. In our top stories, new DPP to take up office in October. Digicel drives best value for rumors. Two face charges in case of Canadian girl who hanged herself after alleged rape. And in sports, Shivnarayan Chandapal loses second position in ICT rankings. Details of these will follow. Welcome back. Dominica will continue its search for an official national dish, says Chief Cultural Officer Mr. Raymond Lawrence. Several years ago, although Dominicans embraced the crapo or the mountain chicken as the national dish, it was never documented as the official national dish of Dominica. According to Mr. Lawrence, it is time for an approved dish to be chosen, one that is authorized by the government of Dominica.
We have had 4 surveys, one on Dominica News Online, another one with the radio stations. We had another one with the 4th formers of the secondary schools, and we had a 4th one with the hotels and the restaurants in Dominica. So we have the results. All the results show that Kanalu is leading so far in terms of, the response from people, the response from the public.
The ministry has insisted the participation of Dominicans to determine an official dish for the island. Extensive efforts have been put in place to form an idea of the dish that Dominicans would prefer as their state dish. Mr. Lawrence is reminding the public that it is not a one-man's dish or a group's dish, but a national dish, so everyone will be allowed to voice in the matter.
The final decision will have to be made by cabinet. So we have to make the submission to cabinet based on the surveys, and then cabinet will take a final decision as to what will be Dominica's national dish.
Numerous options included kalaloo, broth, fig and saltfish, sancoch, titiwi, agouti, and maniku. Other mixtures included farine and pear. Kalaloo was chosen as the top choice of voters. The official dish will be announced during this year's independence celebrations. In more news, the Nature Island Literary Festival, in its pursuit to encourage the Dominican society that reading, writing, and the art of literature can all lead to regional development, launched 2 books depicting Caribbean origins. The event, which was held on August 8th at the Anchorage Hotel, boasts of two individuals, a playwright and a novelist, both of Caribbean descent. Send Out Your Hand, written by Antiguan playwright and first-time author Dobrin E. Omad, said his book is about a political love story.
It's essentially the spine of the work is a sort of fictional experimental approach to achieving regional unity. I tried to explore a different approach to the approaches that we have known historically, the ones that we're involved in now. And that spine, that sort of political background is wrapped around a set of man-woman relationships, relationships between male friends, between boss and employee, you know, that type of exploration of these various relationships within that political context.
Mr. Omad said his involvement in managerial positions, political experience in writing and theater throughout his life inspired him to write this book. The book, Send Out Your Hand, was written in 3 months but took an additional year to complete. The book is presently on the market for only $50 EC. According to Mr. Omad, he has written 5 full-length plays and a number of short plays which have been performed numerous times in Dominica.
It is, I think, one of the most critical planks that we have in our search for regional development. The exploration of ideas, the exploration, the understanding of personalities, the elaboration of history, just the understanding of the human being in the Caribbean society is something that literature will portray and communicate better than I think any other field of endeavor. And so I find it critical, I find it very, very critical in our search for regional development that we explore the creative arts.
The book has been launched in Antigua and Dominica. The author of Look Back, Trish Cook, was represented by the publisher Paulie Pachulo, said that this book is important for Dominicans so that they can be more conscious of their history and culture.
I'm very fortunate to be able to have commissioned her to contribute to this book, which is set in Dominica, and it's about a granny who tells her grandson the story of what happened when she was a little girl in the forests of Dominica.
Ms. Patulu urged Dominicans to purchase Look Back, which cost only 25 EC.
Most books that I see in Dominica are not written by people who have connections to Dominica, and they don't portray people who look like Dominicans. So the important thing about this is that it's set in Dominica. It talks about a folk character that people will know in Dominica, and that's the important thing, is that it reflects your culture. Okay.
Trish Cook was born in England but is of Dominican parentage. Cook's most famous book is called Amazing Grace and has sold over 1 million copies. In other news, Dominica's Carnival Queen and holder of 3 regional titles, Les Lasser Amos Shillingford, is eager to take up the roles and responsibilities delegated to her. At a small cocktail held in her honor within the compounds of the Anchorage Hotel on August 8th, Miss Shillingford Amos spoke of her plans.
Well, in terms of being Miss Dominica, I'd like to continue with my platform at Holistic Education. I've started a non-profit organization called the Dream Foundation, which is the Dominica Realistic Education and Arts Movement. And I haven't been able to do much since I've been so consumed by the pageant, but now that I'm over with that side of the Miss Dominica, I really hope to put that at the forefront of what I'm doing. As Miss Caraval, I hope to bring the Dream Foundation edutainment events, which is education and entertainment events, to St. Vincent and open up that market to really build the holistic education idea.
As Miss J says, she is expected to be the spokesperson for the CARICOM-wide initiative, the Innocent Project. And although there is no specific plan stated in her contract as Miss Caribbean Culture, she intends to open up the Dream Foundation across the Caribbean. Miss Amo Shillingford shared with SAT TV that her favorite competition was the Miss Caribbean Culture.
I would have to say the Miss Caribbean Culture pageant was my favorite. Even though Miss Caribbean World, Miss Carabao and Miss JC's are held at a quite prestigious level, what I found this year at Miss Caribbean Culture is that the girls that were present were pageant veterans, and so it was the most competitive pageant for me. So winning that for me really was an achievement. Some of the girls had been doing pageants since they were 10 years old. One of the girls, her talent was aerial dance. She was 20 feet in the air, dancing through cloth. So being able to rise above these extreme Caribbean women, these completely amazing Caribbean women, and be chosen as the most amazing was really an accomplishment that I think Dominica and of course myself is proud of.
Although not yet confirmed, there is a talk on her participation in the Miss World pageant, which will be held on September 20th.
Well, if given the opportunity, I of course will go out and represent Dominica as well as I have, or even better, as best as I can. Right now it is quite late. The Miss World competition is the 28th of September, and they like the contestants there a month before. So we're not sure if it can happen, but we're trying to get it done as fast as possible. So cross your fingers, Dominica, because it would be a great opportunity for the nation.
Les Lasser has now joined the archives as the fourth Queen participant to win 3 regional titles for Dominica. She now holds the title as Miss JC's, Miss Carival and Miss Caribbean Culture. In other stories, Dominica will have a new Director of Public Prosecutions come October, after Mr. Jean Pestina, who filled that position, demitted the position in July of this year. A DPP is appointed under Section 88 of the Dominica Constitution, and after attaining the age of 65, the DPP must demit office. During Mr. Pestina's absence, former United Workers' Party Senator Mr. Julian Prevost filled the position as acting DPP for 3 months, which ended. However, Minister of Tourism and Legal Affairs Honorable Mr. Ian Douglas says the new DPP is scheduled to take up his position in the second week of October 2013.
We in fact have received applications, and 2 applications, and the applicants were interviewed by a panel involving the Attorney General and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Legal Affairs, among other senior public officials, and a recommendation was made to Cabinet and a decision taken on the appointment of a new DPP who will take up office at some point in October. That's when he will be available.
He noted for someone to be considered for that position, he or she must have at least 7 years as a practicing attorney at law. A sound knowledge of criminal practice and the procedures is also necessary, as this person would be the chief prosecutor of the state to prosecute all criminals. After reviewing the 2 applicants, Guyanese national Mr. Kurt De Freitas was selected to permanently fill the position of Director of Public Prosecutions for Dominica. Currently, Attorney General Mr. Levi Peter is holding on as acting DPP and will start the September criminal assizes before Mr. De Freitas arrives in October.
Mr. De Freitas is a practicing attorney of long standing. He's trained in England, of Guyanese descent. He's practiced in a number of territories in the region before, and will come to Dominica well qualified to hold the position.
The second applicant was Chief Magistrate Evelina Baptist, who many thought would be accepted for the position and expressed support toward her being successful for the role. This is how he responded to the thoughts that Dominicans may not like the idea of a foreigner holding the position of DPP when there are Dominicans adequately trained to do so.
It's all a matter of who applied. Notices were sent out for applications to be received. So you can only take a decision based on the applications that you have received. So I don't believe, we have had a number of DPPs who were non-Dominicans. In the past, we've had DPPs coming from England, DPPs coming from Africa, of African descent. We've had DPPs who have been from other CARICOM countries, and we are a CARICOM nation. We're talking about the CARICOM single market and economy right now. And so Dominica is basically one village in CARICOM. which is to basically becoming the state. So, and we have the same jurisdiction. We have the same Commonwealth Caribbean jurisdiction as far as law is concerned. So it's the law schools in the Caribbean are based in Trinidad, Jamaica, and the Bahamas, and it's the same law basically. So, I mean, I don't see that as being a problem. It's like asking me if somebody from Cassibus can hold a position in Grand Bay. I mean, basically it's the same place. A doctor born in the Kalinago territory can practice at the Princess Margaret Hospital in Goodwill.
Mr. De Freitas is an internationally experienced legal advisor with a track record of public law, including anti-money laundering regulation, international loan deals, as well as human rights prosecutions and legislative drafting, among others. He has held posts as the Attorney General of Anguilla, St. Helena Ascension Island, and the Tristan da Cunha, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands, and serves as Solicitor General of the Cayman Islands, in addition to sitting as acting judge of the Supreme Court. Mr. De Freitas earned top-level international experience from other national authorities of high level across border issues and other matters, including the United States Department of Justice and the UK's Foreign Office. More news: the police are currently investigating the circumstances surrounding the incident which led to the death of 32-year-old Corian Francis. Francis, who hailed from the community of Petit Soufriere but resided at Good Hope, suffered from speech and hearing impairments. She was crossing the street at about 7:45 a.m. on August 9th when she was struck by a dump truck registration number TE275. The vehicle was driven by a Lyndon St. Louis of Cassibus at the time of the tragic incident. Miss Francis sustained multiple injuries and was transported to the Cassibus Health Center, where she was treated and later transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital Accident and Emergency Department, where she was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. A coroner's inquest will be convened, followed by a post-mortem. Investigations are continuing. In other stories, Minister of National Security, Labor and Immigration, Honorable Charles Savre, says he is concerned with the prevalence of illegal drugs in Dominica. He said the supply and abuse of mind-altering drugs, including marijuana and cocaine, in addition to the trafficking of other psychotropic substances, is cause for concern. To see the negative effects of such drugs, he said one can visit the prison or the hospital's psychiatric unit. Mr. Savre commended the police department for their recent confiscations on large quantities of marijuana and cocaine, with street values of over $1 million each.
Sometimes you hear that some persons left the island at 10 o'clock at night to go fishing, and 24 hours have passed and the people have not heard from them. The Coast Guard is then alerted and a tremendous amount of man-hour is spent searching the waters for these so-called fishermen who have not returned. And in most cases, not in all, but in most cases, those persons have in fact left the island, usually for the southern islands of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, to pick up supplies of marijuana and or cocaine. In addition to that, there is the trafficking in firearms as well, because persons who smuggle without limit. In other words, if they can bring in the marijuana without detection, they can also bring in firearms without detection.
As a result of the hard work by the Coast Guard, Customs, the Drug Squad, the Police CID Intelligence, and the Task Force, who all work in sync with each other, have brought these criminals to justice. Mr. Savre noted this is a matter we have to continue to be vigilant about, as these illegal drugs are causing havoc in our society.
Grail Seraphine was buried yesterday. That was a gentleman who in his youth was full of promise. He attended the St. Mary's Academy. He graduated with his CNC equivalents certificates, GCEs in those days. Was a teacher, and then got involved in drugs. And we saw him on the streets as a vagrant, as a quote-unquote paro, and he died. Somebody seemed to have inflicted serious injury on him. He slept on the pavement and was buried yesterday. Now, is that the future that we want for our young people? Is that the future that the young people want for themselves? And whenever these things happen, I think we should reflect, both as young people, as parents, as responsible individuals in the society.
According to Mr. Savre, the public perceives unemployment as the cause for drug trafficking, the supply and the importation of illegal drugs. However, this is not so, as persons who are gainfully employed, some in well-established organizations, are deeply rooted in this illegal drug epidemic. Many people today who appear to be successful come from very poor families and did not rely on a life of crime or illegal activity to advance themselves. Rather, they focused on their education, Mr. Savre explained. He said one of the main issues is that people want to acquire all the finer things in life at once, and the rate this can be done through illegal activities is the driving force, and find that regular jobs are not just making things happen fast enough.
It is not unemployment that drives people into crime. It is that people are not prepared to work to achieve what they would like to achieve in life and are looking for an easy way out. They imagine that if they see people who are driving large motor cars, who are wearing, as they call it, bling, whatever that is, who are always partying and so on. And they feel that that is not from a salary. So they themselves are not interested really in a salary. They are not interested in self-employment. They're not interested in sweat. They're not interested in that kind of activity, and are looking for an easy way out.
This is a serious problem in our society, and we need to get back to our values, morals, ethics, and commitment to work towards national development, the minister added. In more stories, on Saturday, August 10th, a Fishline activity organized by the Coliho Community Tourism Development Group will commence. The newly formed union, founded by a group of university students, which includes concerned villagers residing both here and abroad, has taken on the task of creating sustainable economic development programs for the village. The idea for the event originated from the Grosile Fishline in St. Lucia. According to some research concerning the Grosile Fishline in St. Lucia, if utilized correctly, the Coliho community has the resources to achieve a successful fish and lime. In relation to addressing the unemployment issue within the Coliho village, the group thought it was a good idea to initiate this as their first project within the community. The Coliho Saturday Fishline is designed to bring much needed economic activity to the village. The public will have the opportunity to enjoy exotic seafood, including fish water, steamed fish, bakes, and fried fish. A live band splash has been organized to accommodate the event, which will also feature popular DJs. The Discover Dominica Authority, the Adult Education Division, the West Indies Aggregate, Domlect, and Coliho in Focus UK are all providing support to the Coliho Community Tourism Project Development Group in this undertaking. The event is scheduled to begin at 5:30 p.m. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
Well, in all Dominica, we know that people like partying, right? Especially our youth, they like partying. And alcohol is not good for no one at all, not only the youth. Because the Bible says it's a mocker, and strong drink is raging. And whosoever deceived by it is not wise. So if you're not wise, you're otherwise. In other way, you will say that our youth and them are being very disturbed by the alcohol, and I know that your brain cells are dying every time you use alcohol. And anytime the youth consistently using alcohol, what is happening is he's killing his brain cell, and he himself is getting lower into his education and everything else in life, because he is not being raised to the standard that he's supposed to be in. Alcohol is very dangerous. We are seeing it there. It is not something that is very nice at all. Many times it's a medicine, I would say in that case. It's a medicine, but the danger of it is very, very bad. And many times our youth are not seeing it. It is really destroying them. Many times you see violence and people are getting all agitated. It's because of the heat of the alcohol. And it is very dangerous for our people. I would really tell our young people to really find a comfort in something else. You know, not in alcohol. Alcohol is dangerous.
I don't think that a lot of our young people take care of themselves with regards to the use of alcohol. I think there's an indiscriminate use by a lot of young people as it pertains to alcohol. The only advice I can give really is to, take stock of it, because alcohol has so many damaging effects on the body. There are lots that can be researched on it. It's not like the days when we didn't have the internet and we didn't have so many facilities available to us for research. So the young people would be well advised to do their research and to get a better understanding of the harmful effects of alcohol.
Alcohol should not be abused. If people now and then want to have alcohol as a social drink, but then it's the abuse of alcohol that's the problem. And then some people get addicted to alcohol. That's another major problem again. Because it should reach a point where alcohol is affecting your work, your daily life, your focus, your concentration. It shouldn't reach that point at all. So that's what I would say. And I would really encourage young people and such to drinking alcohol. If the older people want to have alcohol now and then, that with moderation, everything in moderation. The use of alcohol should be in moderation. But to me, young people should stay away from alcohol, I think.
Alcohol just makes damage in the society. A lot of individuals, I knew of them that used to be of high status in society. Because of that, they turning into vagrants and maybe losing their job, and from that leading to different other stuff like losing their homes on the road. But it is very challenging on society, really putting a negative vibes in society.